Good morning. So, Protagoras, day 15, as if nothing happened in between. Different, most certainly, said Protagoras. Well, at the beginning, Simonatus gave his own view, that it is difficult to become a good man, doesn't he? True, said Protagoras. But as for Pittacus, he censures him not, as Protagoras thinks, for saying the same thing, but something different. According to Pittacus, the difficulty is not to become noble, as Simonatus said it was, but to be. As Protagoras says, Protagoras, to be and to become are not the same. We talked about this yesterday in a Plato meeting, that to be and to become is not the same. But I don't think this refers to actual reality. So when Plato writes in Republic 6 about reality, he writes quite often about truth and reality, and the lover of learning, aka the philosopher, the philosopher's love for truth and reality. And then he uses onto when he refers to, when that which is translated in my text at least as reality is onto. So I thought that was interesting. Being, maybe becoming. I need to have a look maybe at exactly what Greek text he uses here for to become and to be. But this is not, it's to become noble or to be noble. It's not the ultimate being or becoming, no being. As Protagoras says, Protagoras, to be and to become are not the same. And if to be is not the same as to become, Simonídes is not contradicting himself. It shouldn't be surprised if Protagoras and many others would agree with Hesiod, but it is difficult to become good, he says, you remember. The gods put sweat on the path of virtue, but when the summit reached, hard though it was, henceforth the task is light to keep it. Almost sounds like enlightenment. Once you've crossed the barrier, there's no turning back. Protagoras commended my explanation, but Protagoras said, your justification, Socrates, involves a greater error than the one it sets out to defend. It seems then, said I, that I have done harm, and am a contemptible physician whose cure inflames the disease. Well, it is so. Explain, said I. It's funny, the banter between the men. It's pretty funny, actually, if you read it. It's like, Plato's really funny. The poet must be very stupid if he says that it is such a light matter to hold on to virtue, when everyone agrees that there is nothing more difficult. To this I rejoined, it's a remarkably lucky thing that our friend Protagoras happens to be present at this discussion. I have a notion that his branch of wisdom is an old and God-given one, beginning perhaps with Simonídes, or going even further back. Your learning covers many things, but not, it appears, this. You are not acquainted with it as I have become through being a pupil of Protagoras. So now I don't think you understand that Simonídes may not have taken this word hard as you do. I wonder what Protagoras teaches. I should probably know this. It was probably mentioned when I read like many moons ago. It may be like the word terrible, which Protagoras is always scolding me about. When in praising you or someone else, I say, Protagoras is a terribly clever person. He asked me if I'm not ashamed to call good things terrible. What is terrible, he says, is bad. No one speaks of terrible wealth or terrible peace, but rather of a terrible disease, a terrible war, terrible poverty. Perhaps then the Chians and Simonides understand hard as something, as connotative, pointing to something bad or something else which you don't know. Let's ask Protagoras, for he is the right man to ask about the dialect of Simonides, so he's probably dialectician. Protagoras, what does Simonides mean by hard? Bad, he replied. Then that is why he blames Protagoras for saying it is hard to be noble, just as if he had heard him saying that it was bad to be noble. Well, that is very much playing with the words of the poet, I think, but okay, let's go with it. What else do you suppose Simonides means? Said Protagoras. He is reproaching Protagoras with not knowing how to distinguish meanings properly, being a lesbian and brought up in a barbarous dialect from Lesbos. Do you hear that, Protagoras? Said I. Have you anything to say to it? It is not at all like that, said Protagoras. I know very well that by hard Simonides meant that the rest of us mean, not bad, but what is not easy, only accomplished with much effort. Okay, so Protagoras seems to agree with me, that it seems like you're really bending the poet over backwards, if you want to interpret it like that. I believe myself that that is what Simonides meant, said I, and I am sure Protagoras knew it. He is joking and wants to test your ability to stand up for your own opinion. Actually, the very next words, I'm gonna use that one next time I say something stupid and someone corrects me. I'm gonna say, I was just testing your ability to stand up for your own opinion. Actually, the very next words provide ample proof that Simonides did not equate hard with bad. He goes on. Okay, so I was fooled by them too. I thought they were serious. And God alone can have this privilege. And of course, then it can't mean that it's bad, because then he would imply that the gods are bad. And presumably he does not first say it is bad to be noble, and then add that only a god could achieve it, and allot it as a privilege entirely divine. That would mean that Protagoras is calling Simonides quite unprincipled and not true Chian. However, I am ready to tell you my own opinion of Simonides' meaning of the song, if you wish to test my skill in poetry, as you call it. But if you prefer it, I will listen to you. That's maybe quite an interesting strategy. First, point out all the ridiculous theories, and then come up with your own, which then maybe would sound less ridiculous. Please speak if you will, said Protagoras, when he heard this. And Protagoras, Hippias, and the others urged me strongly. This is a rather young Socrates, I believe, who was engaged with Protagoras. Well, not young, but not close to his 70 years, I think. Well then, said I will try to expound to you, because the young man, I remember now, there was a younger man who came to him and said, yeah, you must have remembered because he was here before. So he's not the youngest in this dialogue. I don't know if he's middle-aged, maybe he's my age. Well then, said I will try to expound to you the view that I take. The most ancient and fertile homes of philosophy among the Greeks are Crete and Sparta, where are to be found more sophists than anywhere on earth. I do think I remember him once saying that Sparta kind of chases away foreign foreign sophists. They only want their own. Or they actually just laugh at them. Yeah, that's what he said. They make them tell stories and laugh at them or something like that. But they conceal their wisdom like the sophist Protagoras spoke of, and pretend to be fools, so that their superiority over the rest of Greece may not be known to lie in wisdom, but seem to consist in fighting and courage. That's pretty cool. Their idea is that if the real excellence became known, everyone would set to work to become wise. By this disguise they have taken in the pro-Spartans in other cities, who, to emulate them, go about with bruised ears, bind their hands with thongs, take to physical training, and wear short cloaks, under the impression that these are the practices which have made the Spartans a great power in Greece. Whereas the Spartans, when they want to resort freely to their wise men and are tired of meeting them in secret, expel all resident aliens, whether they be sympathizers with the Spartan way of life or not, and converse with the sophists unbeknown to the foreigners. Conversely, they don't allow any of their youths to go abroad, for fear they should forget what they have learned at home. No more do they do the Cretans, and in these states they are not only men but also women who are proud of their intellectual culture. Let that be a lesson. I think I'm gonna have to stop there. But the wisest states are the ones where also the women are proud of the intellectual culture, because they are allowed to join in. Have a beautiful day.